Mike, it's Lynn Poor. This is my summative self-evaluation for HRD 630, the Facilitating Adult Learning. I wanted to try something different. You had mentioned doing a YouTube video, so I hope this comes out all right. This has been quite a semester of growth for me. Being first to do my facilitation on that first morning, I was so nervous, but once I got going and looking out across the sea of faces, the supportive faces of my classmates, it made it a lot easier. Plus, I picked a subject, as you know, had picked something earlier, but picking a different subject, something that I could dig my teeth into that I was interested in, made my presenting go a lot smoother. I think that's something I'd like to explore more in the future. What happens when you have to present something that maybe you're not so passionate about? Certainly in a work environment, maybe even in a teaching environment, occasionally there might be something that is not your favorite thing or not something that you're overly interested in that you still need to present. So how do you make sure that your liveliness comes out? How do you make sure that some form of passion for the subject matter comes out to the students? Because if it doesn't, certainly if you have a lackluster feeling about it and you don't portray it differently, it's going to come out lackluster, and that's how the students are going to interpret it as well. So that's something I'd like to explore more in the future. My facilitation, as you know, was a different experience. I wish I had been able to do it with all of you. However, doing it here at LAC was interesting because I certainly had a larger group, I think, of people and a different set. So I had people who, unlike our classmates, who all love online learning, they're in online learning or certainly appreciate online learning. I did have some folks in my facilitation that had never experienced online learning, and certainly some that disliked it quite a bit. One of the risks for myself personally that I took in that facilitation was zipping it, keeping my mouth shut, which, as you know, is quite hard for me from having had me in that presentation group. I certainly love to speak up. So this semester has taught me quite a bit, because not only in this course, but then taking it forth into the Summer Institute and here at work, I've learned the brilliance or the value of being quiet sometimes, giving other people who are slower to respond the space to say things. Several of my colleagues after the facilitation mentioned how surprised they were that I didn't speak up as much as they had expected me to. They were appreciative of the fact that I was just there to keep the conversation moving and not monopolizing the conversation. So that has been a very interesting growth that I'm taking forth with me. I've also learned how to put together from this course, how to put together presentations, to make things interesting and intriguing, to have takeaways. I worked very hard on my takeaway for my presentation. So as far as addressing the content, learning more from our handouts and from the book about discussion and the value of discussion and having handouts. These were valuable to me as well. I feel like I'm saying a lot. To me, teaching is a way of, oh goodness, how do I want to put this? Teaching is a way to help others learn how to express themselves. One of the wonderful things about education is that once people start to learn things outside of themselves, it often helps them be introspective and reflective, and they start learning more about themselves internally. At least this has been the case for myself, and I know for many of my classmates, they've mentioned it as well, that through college courses, through higher ed, whether it be college courses or adult education or workshops or discussions at the Rotary, by getting together with others and learning, from them, you learn about yourself. And I think that's a really important aspect. I think that's why, all throughout history, these small groups that started that we've learned about in other classes, they were so important. Like the Lyceum, I think by learning with and from others, you learn about yourself. And I think that brings about great growth. And I find that to be very important. The feedback was interesting for me because often people would have juxtapositions. People would say, oh, she was really great at this, and then you'd pick up one and somebody thought you didn't do great at that at all. As you know, from my facilitation, I had worked on the ground rules with the group, and one of my feedbacks had given me a 2 for ground rules, and I thought, well, that's interesting, their interpretation, because we did them together. So I think feedback, you have to take it where it's coming from. Take it as a whole. Don't focus on necessarily one. If you get feedback from 15 people, look at the whole. If there's things that come up that you say, okay, that looks like an area I can work on, that's great. But don't, if you get one overly good or one overly bad bit of feedback, I don't think you should focus on those in particular, because I think you're trying to get the flavor of the whole group. But it was good to see the feedback, to see how I was interpreted by different people, or how what I thought would have been interpreted this way, other people did differently. Like I said, having the ground rules there. And in my presentation, I had used an actual mind map as my agenda, and many had circled a very low score for agenda. So either they didn't notice or didn't hear me or didn't recognize that I was saying that this mind map was an agenda, or they were telling me that the mind map was not an effective agenda. So that was interesting to see as well. Being able to see the videotapes were very important to me, because I felt that things that grew big in your head that you think happened, you watch the video and it really wasn't that way. Certainly when I was doing my presentation, I kept thinking that I was doing a lot of ums and ums, or that I was stumbling over my words. And then when I watched the video, you never see them. Never let people see you sweat, and it seemed smoother than it felt internally. So that was interesting for me as well. Being able to view it, you get to see a clearer picture, and not just the big monsters that grow in your mind while you're nervous and looking out across the crowd. I loved the book that I chose. The Planning Instruction for Adult Learners. This was another interesting perspective on how to set up courses, how to talk to students, the different forms of learning. So again, when doing a video here, I'm set to 10 minutes, and I'm afraid I'm getting short, but I just wanted to express my thanks that you gave us that opportunity to reach out into other areas that interested us. So you had given us many books to choose from, and we got to delve a little deeper into those pockets that we wanted more information. And for me, this was a valuable resource that I think I'm going to turn to again and again and again. The next time I facilitate an adult learning experience, I would like to try harder at I had one particular person that spoke a fair amount, so I need to work on being able to steer the conversation throughout the group a little better. As my first go out facilitating like that, I became, certainly watching the video, even more aware that one person was speaking more than others. And so I'd like to learn to be tactfully able to sway the conversation around the room and not focus in one area. So I know that sometimes people feel like they have a lot to say and they want to say it, so you don't necessarily want to curtail them, but you want to allow others the space to feel comfortable to speak up. Kind of myself, roping myself in during the facilitation and not speaking up so much, helping someone who speaks up a lot to find that way as well, allowing others to feel comfortable and not just jumping in all the time, but allowing those moments of silence to allow other people to speak up. Because some people need to reflect more than others before they speak up. So overall, this has been such a growth experience for me, Mike, this semester. I've really appreciated this course. It was scary going in, thinking that I would have to present to my classmates and then facilitate with my classmates. Daunting at first, but I think that's one of the wonderful things about our program is you really aren't ever taking on something more than you can handle. It's just you get in and you try. You try a little bit here, you try a little bit there, and that's what this is all about. It's a chance for us to try. It doesn't have to be perfect because, first of all, as we've discussed in class, it's never going to be perfect anywhere. But in class with fellow classmates where you're all in it together, that's the place to really in that supportive environment, be able to try out things that you might not normally do. Or it's okay to stumble because you have that supportive network right there to help you. It gives you a chance to get good qualifying or quantifying feedback to help you make the process go better for the next folks that you present to or that you facilitate with. And of course, all the resources that we gather, not just in this class, but other classes as well, help us with each next step. So it's starting with this wonderful foundation, and each class we take is like putting bricks up that are becoming the house and then building the rooms on the house. And I suspect, I'm here at the foundation stage, but talking with some classmates that are about to graduate, or certainly like Suzanne Turner, who has graduated, you start decorating the rooms and building the rooms. And so by the time you graduate, you have this wonderful house. Instead of a toolbox, you have this house of skills that you've built that you can take with you. So in closing, thank you very much for this wonderful experience this semester. I've learned a lot. I'm continuing to learn a lot. The Summer Institute added a whole other layer for me that I'm excited about. And I'm finding, too, the things that I learn in class suit me not just, or help me not just here in class, but they help me at work, and they also help me in my personal life at home. So how exciting is that I get that synergy through my entire life with what I'm learning. Again, as a teacher, teaching, you're helping others to grow. By continuing my education, I'm continuing to grow as well. I really love this program, and thank you so much for the opportunity to learn from you and with you and from my other fellow classmates. It's been a wonderful semester. Thank you so much, Mike. Have a great day. Bye-bye.